There is a certain look in the eyes of people who have suffered too much, a quiet intensity, a silence that feels heavier than anger, yet clearer than any spoken truth. Those who have walked through fire do not return the same, because suffering, when endured, reshapes the inner architecture of the soul. And yet we who study human nature know something the world often forgets. Suffering does not simply break people, it reveals them. As the Stoic researcher Pierre Hadot noted, the task is not to escape suffering, but to use it as a means of transforming the self. This is the essence of those who have endured more than most. Today we walk through 4 traits, 4 quiet marks carved into the spirit of the over-suffered, but these traits are not signs of weakness. They are symbols of a private, unspoken strength that many will never understand. 1. They become masters of emotional restraint, not because they want to, but because life has taken away every other option. When someone has been pushed to the edge over and over, they learn to stop reacting to every sharp word, every small insult, every sudden shift of the world around them. They no longer explode. They no longer panic. They no longer cling. Instead, they grow silent. Dangerously silent. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This is the inner code of those who have suffered too much. They know where rage leads. They've seen what uncontrolled emotion can destroy. And so they practice restraint, not to appear noble, but to survive. We too can learn from them. Their silence is not emptiness, it is discipline. Their calmness is not numbness, it is a shield. And their ability to stay composed while chaos erupts around them is not a flaw. It is the result of years spent learning that emotion without mastery only deepens suffering. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Those who have suffered too much understand this truth at a bone-deep level. They did not read it, they lived it. 2. They see through people with terrifying clarity. Pain sharpens perception. It strips away illusions. It teaches the mind to observe rather than trust blindly. Those who have suffered too much often develop a cold, piercing insight into human motives. They notice tone, inconsistency, hidden intention. They sense manipulation before a word is spoken. They detect insincerity in the smallest gesture, as if suffering carved open a new sense, one that can see the fault lines beneath a person's surface. Seneca once stated, "The wounds of the mind are deeper and more hidden than the wounds of the body," and those who carry such wounds become experts at recognizing the wounds of others and the dangers tied to them. But here is the deeper truth. Survivors see clearly because they had to. Their survival depended on reading the room, anticipating harm, sensing betrayal long before it arrived. This clarity is not a gift. It is a scar that learned how to think. And we too can learn from this. Not to grow paranoid, but to grow perceptive. Not to fear people, but to understand them. Not to expect harm, but to recognize which seeds are planted in the souls of those around us. The one who has suffered too much becomes a student of human nature, not by choice but by necessity. And in this way, suffering becomes a teacher more honest than comfort ever could be. 3. They carry a hidden strength that terrifies those who've never known real pain. There is a paradox in those who have suffered too much. A silent power that outsiders rarely understand. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is not visible in any physical form, but it radiates from them like a quiet storm, the kind that can uproot entire forests without raising its voice. This strength is not the type glorified by storytellers or admired by crowds. It is not built in gyms or discovered in moments of triumph. It is forged in the dark, in the loneliest hours, when a person is forced to choose between breaking completely or rising despite the weight on their chest. The Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus once said, "No one becomes strong without laboring under difficulties." And those who have suffered too much embody this truth more fully than anyone else alive, because the world often offers them only 2 paths: collapse or transformation. They choose the latter, not because they are heroes, but because life leaves them no other option. The strength born from endurance. This hidden strength comes from surviving what should have destroyed them, from enduring nights when the mind collapses inward and the heart feels like a cracked stone, from continuing to breathe even when the future looks like a wasteland, from walking into another day despite the exhaustion carved deep into their bones. There is a moment in every sufferer's life when they realize no one is coming to rescue them, no one is coming to carry their pain, no one is coming to rewrite their past. And in that moment of isolation, something ancient awakens within them: self-reliance. Not the comfortable version spoken by self-help books, but the kind born in storms. The kind Marcus Aurelius described when he wrote, "Dig within. Everything that you need is already within you." People who suffered too much learn to dig deeply, painfully, honestly. And beneath the rubble of their old self, they found a strength that didn't feel like strength at all. It felt like survival. The strength that does not seek approval. Those who suffer too much no longer chase validation. They no longer need applause. They no longer seek recognition or compliments or reassurance that they are enough. They have already been to war with themselves. And they emerged carrying their own approval, the only kind that ever truly mattered. This is the strength that terrifies others, the kind that does not beg, the kind that remains calm when insulted, the kind that walks away instead of fighting for attention, the kind that chooses solitude over shallow company. The researcher William Irvine wrote that emotional resilience is the highest form of human power because a person who cannot be shaken cannot be controlled. And this is the root of their strength. They cannot be controlled, not by fear, not by guilt, not by emotional manipulation, not by the opinions of the world. Their suffering burned those chains away. The strength that reshapes identity. When someone suffers too much, they eventually stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What can I build from this?" This shift marks the birth of a new identity, one not defined by wounds, but by the will required to outgrow them. This identity is quiet but unshakable. It moves with purpose. It speaks less, observes more, and acts only when action matters. Seneca once wrote, "Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men, but suffering does more than test. For those who have endured too much, it refines them. It strips away the unnecessary. It leaves only what is essential, and what remains is a person shaped by pressure, sharpened by difficulty, strengthened by adversity." The strength that inspires others without trying to. There is something magnetic about people who suffered too much, not because they try to inspire, but because they embody what everyone secretly wishes they had: inner stability. They walk with a steadiness that others feel but cannot explain. They speak with a calm that others envy. They carry a discipline forged not from desire, but from necessity. This is the strength that whispers instead of shouts, that steadies instead of stuns, that reassures without promising, that guides without demanding. This strength is rare because it cannot be faked, it cannot be purchased, it cannot be taught in words, it must be lived. And this quiet, unbreakable endurance is the hallmark of those who have suffered too much. They are not fragile. They are not defeated. They are not defined by the past that tried to destroy them. They are strong because suffering forced them to become someone who no longer fears the fire, because they were shaped inside it. 4. They develop an unnatural level of emotional awareness that others can't understand. There is something unsettling, almost supernatural, about the emotional awareness of people who have suffered too much. It's not intuition, it's not sensitivity, it's not some mystical gift. It is the result of years spent navigating environments where one wrong emotional move could lead to chaos. This awareness is not gentle, it is not poetic, it is not romantic, it is survival. When someone grows up in the midst of volatility, whether that volatility came from family, betrayal, loss, manipulation, or abandonment, they learn to read people the way others read street signs. They learn to pick up on danger faster than others even realize there is a threat. They learn to observe micro-expressions, shifts in tone, breathing patterns, pauses, inconsistencies in speech, not because they want to, but because the environment trained them to. Epictetus once said, "Circumstances don't make the man, they reveal him." But for those who have suffered too much, circumstances did both. They revealed who they were, and they forced them to become hyper-aware in order to survive. This emotional awareness eventually evolves into a powerful internal compass, guiding them through every interaction with precision, clarity, and caution. They see intentions before words even arrive. Most people listen to what others say, but those who've suffered listen to what goes unsaid. The hesitation, the forced smile, the subtle defensiveness, the sudden shift in eye contact, the energy in the room that changes before a single word is spoken. They study behavior the way philosophers study virtue, deeply, attentively, without distraction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Observe what is happening, not just the actions, but the purpose behind the actions." This is exactly how those who suffered too much navigate the world. They do not look at behavior alone, they look at motive. They do not react to tone, they analyze intention. They do not get fooled by charm, they look beneath it. It is this ability that makes them difficult to manipulate. Manipulators thrive on confusion and emotional blindness, but these individuals possess a clarity that cuts through illusion. They see masks for what they are. They see selfishness disguised as generosity. They see insecurity hidden behind arrogance. They see danger even when danger is smiling. This awareness becomes both a shield and a sword, protecting them from those who seek to use them and guiding them toward those who are genuine. They understand themselves with brutal honesty. Self-awareness is rare in the modern world, but in those who have suffered deeply, it becomes a necessity. They learned early that ignoring their emotions leads to destruction, so they confront them, not with fear, but with discipline. This discipline is what Stoic researchers often describe as inner governance, the capacity to rule one's own reactions instead of being ruled by them. Through pain they learned what triggers them, what calms them, what drains their energy, what strengthens their mind, what leads them into destructive patterns, and what leads them out. This level of self-understanding gives them a stability that others rarely possess. They do not collapse easily. They do not overreact quickly. They do not fall for emotional manipulation because they already know where their vulnerabilities lie. Pain forced them to map their own inner landscape, and now they walk through it with mastery instead of fear. They know when to stay and when to walk away. Because they understand people deeply and understand themselves deeply, they develop one ability that most people never acquire: the ability to cut people off without guilt, not out of coldness, not out of anger, but out of emotional survival. Seneca once warned, "You must associate with people who lift you up." Those who suffered too much know this instinctively. They will give chances, yes, they will forgive, often, but they will not tolerate a cycle that threatens their peace. Get exclusive content and deeper insights. Join our membership today. Link in the description.